take a little trip with me and hopefully you can see how the hood, suburbs, and Main Street are all connected. Enough respect, I mean, we network across the globe cause it's a global market in case you didn't know. And since we all about information flow, let me be the first one to welcome you to Tech Zone with Paul Amadeus Lane. Let's talk tech cause technology changing the game. It's all good in the hood, it's everywhere. Now let's get to the show cause we live on air, yeah.
Welcome to the Tech Zone. I am in the captain's chair. I am Paul Amadeus Lane. So happy to have you with me. The 50th anniversary of the airing of Star Trek. I love it. I'm a Trekkie. I love Star Wars, Stargate SG-1. My man Neil Acree, he used to be the composer on the SG-1 series, so got to show some love to him. Don't forget, next week, I'm going to try to do a review of the new Star Trek Online game that was just released for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. I was actually part of the beta tester team that did it the past week. It is an incredible game. I'm definitely going to talk about it. Sean, you got to get it. They can even get it on the PC. See, I'm not a PC gamer. I can't even say it right. So Sean, get it. It's free. On this show, we are going to talk about some great innovation out there. Hit my mic. See, that's what I do when I make a good point. Hit my mic. Good point. See? Good point. All right, here we go. Coming up in our third segment, we are going to be discussing an innovation out there for actors, musicians, filmmakers, you name it. Would you like to have a website innovation out there that kind of does all the work for you? Well, our guest in our third segment is going to talk about that. In the second segment, we're going to be talking about fashion and Bluetooth headsets. There's a fashion out there that helps you to coordinate. What movie is that from? If y'all tell me, I'm going to get y'all in trouble. Coordinate. So we're going to talk about that. And coming up in our first segment, we're going to be talking about remorseful treats, or another good subject, remorseful tweets. Yeah, remorseful treats are bad, especially if you're on a diet like I'm supposed to be, but remorseful tweets. Don't you wish you can take that back? We're going to talk about that with a very special guest coming up here shortly. Don't forget, you can always connect with me online. Go to paulonwheels.com. Folks, we are so close to 500 YouTube subscribers. It's not even funny. The minute we hit 500 subscribers, we got a cool giveaway that we are going to do. You are not going to believe what we have in store for that giveaway. So make sure you tell your friends. On YouTube, it's Paul Amadeus Lane. That's the YouTube channel. You can catch up on all the Tech Zone episodes and just have a lot of fun. Well, you ready to get the show started? Let's get to work. Text messages. Have you ever gotten in trouble with text messages? People have lost their jobs over text messages. People have lost their marriages, their relationships over text messages. And let's face it, we all have done it once in a while. We send a text without thinking. We're emotional, or like with me, when I use voice text, all the typos, and I put in there like, hey, let's do this, but it comes out the other way and someone sent you an angry text. Yeah. Wouldn't it be nice to have an innovation that can help us out with that? Well, and joining me right now is the co-founder and CEO of On Second Thought. We're talking about the beautiful Marci Peterson, joining us from Silicon Valley. Hey, Marci, how are you?
Hi, Paul. I'm well, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. When I saw this company right here, first, congratulations on being named one of the top 50 the startup tech companies by tech.co. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And what kind of made you guys come up with this kind of innovation? Was it a personal story behind it, or was it something like, hey, we need to help people out there?
Well, we actually came up with the idea because, like most people, I sent a text message that I wanted to take back. Autocorrect has a vendetta against me. So one day, an ex-boyfriend had been calling me, and for some reason, I just kept missing his calls. And so I'd written, hey, for some reason I keep missing your calls, and autocorrect changed it to, hey, for some reason I keep missing that part of your anatomy that rhymes with calls, if you get my drift. And at that point, we'd been broken up for about 6 months. So that was nice and awkward. And after slamming my fingers against my phone, trying to get my message back and not being able to, I looked to see if there was a way that I could, and there wasn't. And so I started thinking, hey, I wonder if I should create something to do this. So I asked my friends if they'd ever had the same problem. They all did. And a few months later, we won first place in a pitch competition at South by Southwest. And that is how we got started.
That is an amazing story, because I'll tell you something that happened to me too. It was me and a colleague of mine were taking a Dale Carnegie course together. So
Okay.
I text her, I'm like, hey, can't wait to see you tonight. And it was, I can't wait to get into you tonight. And I'm like, OMG. She's going to think I'm trying to get frisky or fresh with her.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, I text her right back. I said, I am so sorry. I used voice to text and it just came out the wrong way. So thank you, Marci, for you guys creating this. Thank you.
You are welcome. I'm glad we've been able to help you and many others.
Now, when it comes to this type of innovation, what would involve in trying to do this? Was it a software program you guys had to come up with, or was it some coding for the app? What was the process in creating this?
Yeah, so the process was developing a messaging app, basically developing the code. That the technology behind it is essentially a delay. So similar to like Gmail and Do, we took that same thought process but applied it to text messaging. And so right now it exists as a messaging app that lets you take back text messages before they get to the other person. Right now we're in the process of building our software development kit so that we can license it to other companies, so that when you purchase your cell phone, it's a standard feature. You'll automatically be able to unsend your text messages.
That's what I am talking about right there.
Yeah.
So what is the delay? Is it like a 5-second delay, or can you set the delay on there?
Yeah, so you get to decide. It can be up to 60 seconds. So mine is 5 seconds, and that means that after hitting send, I have 5 seconds to swipe left to get my message back.
I'm telling you, this is going to save a lot of people from getting in some fights. You know, some what do you call it? Some athletes out there from getting in trouble.
And that's why we're licensing, so that we can help people with social media too, because those things happen.
And I'm glad you said that about licensing, because some people out there who may be interested in tech and starting a company, they may not be aware of how important licensing is. Please explain how important that is, especially if you're going to have any type of tech company or any kind of company out there.
Yeah, for us, it's kind of something that I wouldn't say we stumbled into, but the way we decided to make this a priority was I was at South by Southwest this year, and one of the largest wireless carriers in the United States approached us about licensing our technology. We have the patent on the delay and recall of mobile communication. So literally anything you send from one device to the other, the unsending of that is what our patent is on. And they wanted to provide that service to their customers, but they couldn't do it without infringing upon our patent. And so I started thinking like, hey, that's a really great way to make our technology ubiquitous, because we can license to more than just wireless carriers, but messaging apps, mobile money transfer companies, basically, like I said, anyone who's sending anything via mobile. But the other thing is that it's a really great path to revenue. And that was something that we were really trying to figure out, because as the economy ebbs and flows, it's really important to demonstrate, especially to investors, how you're going to make money and win. And for this, it was a very obvious thing for us. And so we thought, well, licensing is the way to go. And as a result of it, we will generate revenue this year, and we're projected to break even by the end of Q2 of next year.
Congratulations on that, because that could be a challenge, especially with a tech startup company. And all my guests I had on today, startups, and the main kind of driver that I see with every startup company is the love and compassion. And I don't want to get mushy or nothing, but
I mean, it takes all of you to do it. Yeah.
And a lot of people don't realize that. And how does that feel to put yourself out there on an island and you're like, I'm hoping that people appreciate this technology? Take us through just the pendulum of emotions that you had from when you said you wanted to do this to you're doing it right now and seeing some of the positive results from it.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a pendulum. Lots of highs and lows. You learn so much about yourself and your capacity for both good and bad as a result of it. But I think one thing about this company, this actually isn't my first company. It's my fourth or fifth. It's my second more successful company. But I think the big thing about this is that we received a lot of early praise, which acted as a way to validate the idea. And it proved and demonstrated that it was something that would require my full time attention, but B was something that was worth my full time attention. So I left my career in corporate. I was at Marriott in order to run on second thought full time. And at that time at Marriott, I was basically on the path to do whatever I wanted within the company.
Hmm.
I'd been promised a very bright career there and future, no matter what I decided to do. And so it really was a huge leap of faith in order to leave that, in order to go into this great unknown. However, the thing about it and something that's always driven this business is my faith in God.
Absolutely.
And so I prayed a lot about it. And when I told my managers my exit date, I had great peace about it. And beyond that, they were incredibly helpful. I mean, they'd allow me to miss out on meetings in order to take meetings with investors. I was doing interviews with magazines and media outlets from my cubicle. like
Wow.
they were just incredibly supportive. And that was another reason why I felt comfortable, leaving that in order to do this full time. And then the other thing was, just the reception that we received from the market. So we've had a steady stream of stories written about us for the last 20 months. At least 2 to 3 articles are written about us a month. And beyond that, just from our users and the community at large, as well as other corporations now and investors, we've just had a lot of traction, as well as a really great response. And so that helps us to keep going. But I'm not going to lie, the beginning of this year was extremely difficult. It was probably the toughest 6 months of my entire life. And I had a lot of opportunities to leave, but I knew that this is something that I'm meant to do. I knew that on second thought is bringing a great service to our world. And it's something as simple as unsending things. But as you mentioned, the ability to do that can save a lot of people, not only in terms of communication in their jobs, but especially when we start licensing our technology to mobile money transfer companies.
Hmm.
They'll have a significant impact, especially on those in developing countries.
Well said. Well said. And when it comes to embarking on this vision right here, I'm sure there is times when you even think, wow, look at how far I've come. And you take a step back and be like, wow, this is pretty cool. I'm doing what I love to do. What made a, a woman like yourself get into the tech field, and a woman of color? And let's talk about,
Yeah.
the challenges that might create, because I've been in the electronics field about 15 years, and we're starting to see a trend of more women getting into innovation, which I think is amazing, and also more women of color. Are there any challenges that come with that?
I mean, I don't think it's necessarily any different from challenges that women of color face just living, breathing, and walking down the street.
Absolutely.
Um, but I will say this. So there have been times when men have said things to me that have been chauvinistic or borderline derogatory. And something that I really appreciate is that I have never had to say anything in retaliation. Other people have always said things. So, for example, we were a featured startup and a leader in our former incubator when we were back in DC, and we were preparing for this like demo day. And I was in a room with other founders. We were all practicing our pitch. or pitches. And this guy said, I was expecting for you to have some like dumb sorority girl idea, but what you're doing is actually really awesome. And I was like, oh, okay. And immediately the leaders of the incubator were like, that was completely inappropriate. That kind of behavior will not be accepted in this community. They took him out into the hallway, spoke to him. They were like, we are thinking about revoking his membership for this because that's not conducive to the environment that we want to create. And they apologized to me profusely. And so I think the bigger thing, I think what's more telling than chauvinistic acts or things that are difficult that might happen, and that happens all the time. I think it's more so the fact that our society does not tolerate it as much anymore, and people are speaking up. And I think that's the more beautiful thing.
Absolutely. I'm glad ones came to your defense. Are you into sci-fi big? You Star Wars, Star Trek? You ever watch Star Wars movies?
I love Star Wars.
Okay. Don't you wish you could
franchises?
and don't you wish you could have force choked him at that time when he said
those are things that just don't get to me. I mean, other people's stupidity, it's like, that's on you.
I hear you. And before we let you go, Marci, what got you into the tech field? Was it something that at a young age you were drawn to, or was it something that later on in life you decided to gravitate towards?
I would say it was neither. So for me, I have always been very entrepreneurial in general. So my mom, when I was growing up, had a basket business with her friends, and people would ask me, like 4 years old, they'd say, Marci, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I would say, I want to be a baskets of joy lady. That was the name of my mom's business. But what I didn't realize what I was saying was actually that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. So I was the kid who, when I would get bored during the summer, I would have a car wash or a lemonade stand, or my cousin and I would make friendship bracelets and sell them to our friends. Or even after our family Easter egg hunts for Easter, my cousin and I would then sell our prizes to our younger cousins. So it's
that hustle. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've always been very entrepreneurial. And like I said, I started my first business when I was in college. On second thoughts, probably my fourth. And it just happened that the solution to my problem just happened to be in technology. I wasn't necessarily searching for a tech business. I wasn't like, oh, I want to create an app, or, oh, I want to do something in tech. That just happened to be where the solution to my problem lied. And that's why that's the way I approach everything. So I have a list of like 20 businesses that I eventually want to do. Some are in tech, some aren't, but it just depends on where the solution lies.
Well, you are definitely an inspiration and an encouragement out there for ones to just keep reaching higher and higher. And, they said, three times a charm? Well, this time the fourth time is a charm with this app right here. And how can our viewers and listeners find out more information about the app and download it? And what platforms is it available for now?
Yeah, so right now it's available on Android, so you can find us in the Google Play Store. We're currently focused on building our software development kit so that when you upgrade your phone or purchase a new one, it'll automatically be there. And then in the next year or so, we're going to release a really cool, awesome new app that is kind of a more enhanced version of what we're doing right now.
Well, Marci, when that happens, you have to come back on and talk to us about it. And we wish you much success. And you're definitely an inspiration to not only young women out there, but men everywhere, just to hear your story. And thank you so much for sharing that with us on the air.
Well, thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Much success, my friend.
Thank you. Bye.
That was the intelligent, the lovely Marci Peterson for On Second Thought. And remember, all of us have done that text thing. I can't believe I sent that. But I'm glad it's only for Android users. All you iPhones out there, you can't get it. Hey, when we get back, we're going to be talking about fashion and Bluetooth headsets here on the Tech Zone. You don't want to miss that. We'll be back in 2 and 2 here on the Tech Zone.